Hello again, listeners. I'm back in my bunker now, thank the sludge gods. Today, I've got a radio show that will broadcast through the air and into your ears. I hope you enjoy the process of trying to construct meaning from my words, which have traveled from air to electricity to light to electricity to air again, just so our flesh bodies can interpret them over long distances. Anyway, today's long-distance vibration broadcast is supported by a new pizza place I found buried under a stone in a junkyard a few days ago. Today we'll be covering some local news, a few listener submissions, and whatever else I think of. But first, here's a word from today's sponsor. Do you have a sudden urge for pizza? If you don't, just try to put yourself in our shoes. How long has it been since you shoved cheesy slices of delicious pizza pie down your enlarged gullet? Do you want to satisfy this unrelenting lust for greasy, deep dish za? Then head on down to Donimo's Pizza, where our #1 priority is satisfying your cravings. Donimo's Pizza. We still exist. I think I had a listener submission prepared around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. This recording comes to us from Tony, the teenage driver for the local Donimo's Pizza, who reportedly drives to finance his college or pay off his car, or whatever makes you relate to him more. Here we go.
I was driving out in the desert last night, looking for the address that Don had scribbled on my hand in Sharpie. We get very few orders ever since this whole apocalypse thing, so he doesn't want me to ever be late for one. I told him I can just memorize the address, but he's weird about that stuff. Sorry, off topic. Anyway, I'm just driving in circles between a few unnamed streets under the desert moon when I see something. It looks to be some sort of eldritch monstrosity towering above the landscape in the distance. Of course, I think back to my driver training for what I'm supposed to do in this situation. Mo, who was the one who trained us, used to have a saying that he made us memorize. If a towering being you see, ask yourself these queries. How many eyes can you count? How many teeth are in its snout? If the eyes count 9 or the snout is full, or if the being's incomprehensible, drive away and don't delay, and you will live another day. But the monstrosity I saw seemed to be comprehensible, and I could only count 8 eyes, so I figured it was safe. I try not to judge cosmic horrors based on appearances. My grandma was an eldritch horror, actually. More humanoid than this one, though. It looked down at me from its indescribable, twisting, vine-like body, and I saw in its eyes such a great pain. And the being knelt to my level and looked into my eyes, and for a moment I felt nothing. We were just 2 segments of a cosmic soul staring into each other's eyes in that moment, looking at each other, but also at ourselves. When I looked at the being, I saw the orbits of the planets reflecting in the beautiful twirling of its uncountable tentacles. All of space was before me, and suddenly I felt as though I were one with it. And suddenly, from some deep crevice of the infinitely complex being came a beautifully resounding, deep voice. And it said,
I believe you have my saw.
Next up, listeners, we have an official statement from the local chapter of the Bureau of Science. Josh, the spokesman and sole member of the BOS, says, "That one shiny thing in the sky, yeah, that one, is doing something wacky lately. Like, if you squint, you can just make out that it's like 2 degrees from where it's supposed to be. That's kinda weird." Listeners, remember what happened last time Josh said that. I know you all instinctively distrust authority, but stay inside tonight. We don't want a repeat of last spring's Bone Storm massacre. Next up, we have a song extracted from the subconscious of one of my prisoners. Please remember that this show is sponsored by Donimo's Pizza, who would like to kindly remind you that they still exist. We now have one last listener-submitted piece before the broadcast ends. Oh, and it looks like this is actually the second half of our earlier submission. Neat. here's Tony again.
The being and I lay in the dust under the glimmering stars, eating Hawaiian pizza. The being sprawled out seemingly endlessly across the sand in either direction, but it kept its eye stalks trained on me. It hadn't spoken since those first few words except to tell me to lay with it. We lay there for hours. And though no words were exchanged, I came to learn more and more of it. His name was Shorthath, Reaper of Souls. But in that moment, he didn't see me as a soul to be reaped. He saw me as an extension of the universe, identical to him. We stared out at the stars for hours, but when I looked over at him again, he was gone. All that remained was an empty box laden with a few greasy pieces of ham and pineapple. Can you believe that? No tip. Even after hanging out with him. I mean, come on. I need to pay off my car or whatever.
Thanks for the story, Tony. And to all you listeners, remember to pop over to Dynamos for a... hold on, listeners. I'm now receiving news that a group of noble yet relatably flawed adventurers have traveled to the heart of Dynamos Pizza, defeated their head chef, and destroyed the cursed amulet that they found there, subsequently releasing the delivery drivers from their life of servitude. There goes my sponsorship. I swear I'm gonna kill whatever tough yet ultimately kind-hearted wizard, bartender, or mentor figure led them on that quest. Well, listeners, if you happen to know of any companies that still want to buy ad spaces, I guess email me at isaacepicradio32@ohgodthebees.net. Don't know how I'm going to afford those dimensional transmitter repairs now. Well, listeners, I guess that's it. Make sure to stay inside tonight if you want to avoid the star-caused bone storm, I guess. Signing off. Bye. Ex Colorado Radio is written by Sean Rediker and me, Jordan Damel. This show is produced, voiced, and scored by me as well. If you love this show and want to support us, head over to patreon.com/XCO Radio. That's the letters X, C, and O Radio. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Ex Colorado Radio has no affiliation with Domino's Pizza or any other similarly named corporation.